Portal King Kiffin. Hey, he's also put together a pretty solid recruiting class. It says a first official group within the top 20. Ole Miss coming in at number 16. They're led by the number 7 wide receiver, Caleb Cunningham. But once again, the portal, it does hold some headliners. They've got a top 3 edge and the top interior offensive lineman, Patrick Kudas. And of course, so much more excitement in this class. And we're excited to welcome in somebody that makes us excited too. This is our friend Smoke Dixon here. Is going to come and talk about some of these classes, starting here with Ole Miss. It seems like Austin Simmons is likely handing the quarterback keys, Jackson Dart to Austin Simmons. The Austin Simmons era officially beginning here. So where has Ole Miss set him up for success? Because there's expectations now in Oxford.
Well, I'm worried, right? Oh. And I like Austin Simmons, okay? Mm-hmm. I think me and Cooper on the 105, we were championing the Austin Simmons before anyone had seen him throw a pass, right? He got him there late in the season, took over for Jackson Dart when he got dinged up. He's really talented. All the buzz coming out of Oxford is, hey, this guy is the real deal. He has not started a game. Yeah. Right? You look at Ole Miss, what's coming back. Last season, Lane Kiffin, the Rebels, the collective, they pushed all their chips in. All of them went in. Now they're losing 4 of their top 5 pass catchers, 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen, their top 2 running backs, an NFL quarterback. On defense, we're talking about 2, potential first-round defensive linemen, multiple guys in the secondary. I mean, this is going to be a completely new look team. And much like, Florida State in 2023, they're going to have to lean heavily once again on the transfer portal. They've gone out and they've got a ton of wide receivers that have year-over-year production. Harrison Wallace comes over from Penn State. Deuce Alexander comes over from Wake Forest. Like, they got some parts all around here, but I have question marks about, hey, can this unit gel right away? Are they going to be able to contend? Because it's a lot of new faces in new places, and you got a really, really young quarterback. Austin Simmons is a double reclassification. He should just now be starting college.
Wild.
But he decided to step 2 classes. So, I got questions about what this is going to look like just because Ohio State, Notre Dame, they played for the national title. 18 of their 22 starters on both teams, 18 of the starting 22 were homegrown high school recruits, guys that they brought in through the high school ranks, signed, developed, allowed them, and got them on the field. We have yet to see a team that is, 18 transfer portal starters push all the way to the national title.
It's the risk you run when you live in the portal, right?
Yeah, that's the risk that you run when you're on the Lane train. But we all have to understand this. This is what Lane Kiffin lives for. An unproven quarterback. Remember when Bama had Blake Sims? Yeah, all they did was just make a magical run. When you have Lane and he's calling the offense, Austin Simmons is just good enough for now. You don't need to have him do the same things that Jackson Dart did year 1. And when you get a Deuce Alexander there, you get Harrison III there, you get veteran guys that understand how to play the college game. And if you give the wizard the playbook and he starts throwing up the plays on the sideline, yeah, we already know what it is. Lane is good for 3 touchdowns by himself by just marking you up. So all you have to do is be functional, get to where you have to get to in terms of wide receiver play, and they have enough there, young and some guys that's coming in order to do exactly what they need to do. And again, we all have to sit back and understand that going undefeated anymore in the SEC or college football is not what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. We're just trying to get in the top 12. And once we get into the top 12, anything can magically happen. And I think Lane Kiffin has that within him. So offense, I'm not really worried about. Defensively, what they did last year, they put it all together. With Wes Neighbors back there and Pete. Magical couple that's got it together.
They were so close to finishing in the top 12. There was that inexplicable loss down the stretch to Florida. But when you look at the windows of success, you kind of have to reframe your mind, because it's not necessarily we have this window open because we have this one player, we have this great group of players, because if you use the transfer portal, you can continue to bring in and widen that window. So how do you view this window of success opportunity for Ole Miss? Should they be right back in that top 12 conversation again this year?
They're just like everybody else. Unlike what we saw when Bama and Georgia was rolling in Clemson, where everyone built their program, mm-hmm. This is almost like playing pickup basketball. How quickly in 6 months can you get the best 22 out there to win enough to get in the top 12 and to win 4 games if you have to in the playoffs? That's it. And I think Lane and Ole Miss, they've lived in this world. So they're just saying, okay, I don't think anyone's hitting the panic button over there. They're just going back and saying, you know what? This is what we do. All we have to do is to sustain this and don't have that letdown, that lane letdown, and figure this thing out, and we'll be just fine.
I will say this, Pete Golding, I think ever since he's arrived there at Ole Miss, they've gotten much better when it comes to recruiting, identifying, going after like premium high school talent. Suntarine Perkins is a name that comes to mind. Mason Dunn, a cornerback here in the 2025 class. He was a big riser for us. Hey, is the championship window still open? Again, I'm kind of skeptical about all the new faces. And Spoke brings up a good point. I mean, you could go around the SEC, you could go around the country. A lot of these blue blood programs, there are questions at the quarterback. Again, we've seen this arm talent for Austin Simmons. How fast can they gel? I think that is the theme for Ole Miss as we get into 2025. And the schedule sets up very nice for them, right? They don't face really, someone that they could potentially not be favored against until LSU in week 5. So you got 4 games to figure this out. Lane Kiffin, yes. What is Ole Miss's X factor? It is his schemes. It is his play calling. So they're going to have Austin Simmons in position ready to go. Just what does that offensive line look like? And then you said it. What does the defense look like? Because they are losing a lot of guys that are going to be playing on Sundays next year.
You mentioned Pete Golding and how that can help with talent acquisition. Of course, when we talk Ole Miss and we talk Kiffin, we're going to talk about the portal, but I did mention at the beginning of the segment that it's his first official group within the top 20. So where have you sensed a mindset shift and maybe a more emphasis in bringing in high school talent with Ole Miss?
We said it on the defensive side of the ball, right?
Just there.
Wide receiver is a huge question mark. I brought that up on the front end. 4 of the top 5 pass catchers, they're off. They're gone. They're out of there. Caleb Cunningham is the big win for them. He's an older wide receiver prospect in state. I think he's someone that has a chance to go right away. I call him a rack machine, right? He's a monster after the catch. Really good basketball player. You know that if you follow the 105, you follow our rankings. We want our pass catchers, these wide receivers, to also play basketball. Why? Because when you're on the basketball court, you're either going to go through someone, around someone, or you're trying to prevent someone to come through you, ball skills, all that stuff. He's a guy that we considered heavily for a 5th star. At the end of the day, just didn't have that spot for him. Never got that live exposure to Caleb Cunningham. He could be a factor year 1. He might be the wide receiver in the SEC that breaks through. Winston Watkins, Sammy Watkins' cousin as well, down at Venice High School. My wife went to school there. Excellent senior season, 94 catches, over 1,000 yards, multiple touchdowns. Also uses a Wildcat quarterback. They played him out on defense as a cornerback. We saw him in San Antonio at the Navy All-American Bowl, and he exceeded expectations. Hey, he's under 5'9". He's got big features, big arms, big hands. So those two could be some other guys that are weapons for Austin Simmons year 1 in 2025.
Yeah, Smoke said the window is always open for for every team when it comes to this era of college football. If you want to read more about all the happenings at Ole Miss, head to InsideTheRebels.com. They have you covered for all things Ole Miss